Hi, good to see you. An ex-convict got a job as a dishwasher in a luxury restaurant one day. When she entered a business meeting by mistake, she surprised everyone with her words. Marina left through the back alley of the restaurant, leaving behind the noise of the pots and the dishes, the lights of the room. Downtown Guadalajara shone in the distance, a constant reminder of the world beyond her now small universe. With each step, she allowed herself a rare moment of reflection. She was not just a dishwasher, she had been a promising management assistant. Hotelier on her way to becoming a manager now, every day was a reminder of what could have been. Remembered the days when the biggest challenge was balancing the hotel budget, coordinating services for large events, and ensuring guest satisfaction. Marina was good at that, was very good. Her colleagues and superiors always counted on her to resolve crises and improve efficiency, but that life had been taken away from her for a moment. Her mind wandered to that fateful day, the meeting that took place. It changed everything when she was accused of embezzling funds, a plot she would later discover orchestrated by someone she trusted. Injustice is a shadow that follows you, Marina muttered to herself, the words almost lost in the hum of passing cars. She had been convicted, without sufficient evidence, only substantial evidence based on manipulations and lies. Spending 3 years in a cold cell far from her family and friends was a test of her resilience. Marina learned a lot about herself and about people in prison. It was hard, but also a place of growth. She made unexpected friends and discovered an inner strength that she never knew she had. But look, where am I now? She continued, observing her hands still marked by the slight burns from the hot pits and boiling water, washing dishes far from where I belong. Still, she didn't allow those thoughts to bring her down completely. Marina knew that every step, even if small, was a step away from her past. She was rebuilding her life piece by piece, and she had to believe that they would come. Better days. She paused for a moment. She took a deep breath and raised her head, looking at the stars above. I'm going to come back, she promised herself with calm determination. No matter how long it takes or how hard I have to work, I'm going to clear my name and resume my career. She thought about her ambitions and the dreams she had before her life derailed. Marina was not willing to let her past define her future, no longer refused to be just a victim of circumstances. Marina continued her way home, thoughts focused on plans and possibilities. There was a long way to go, many barriers to overcome, but she was ready, one step at a time. She whispered to the night a silent promise to herself and to the world. That solitary walk was not just a physical journey, but a manifesto of her journey back to the life that deserved. A day of redemption in the luxury restaurant in Guadalajara where Marina worked. The atmosphere varied from quietly tense to openly hostile. Although she was meticulous and dedicated, not everyone welcomed her. Some of her colleagues still whispered and threw looks of disdain when they passed by her, especially those who knew about her past in prison. There she goes, the hotel thief murmured, making sure she heard, but without ever saying it directly to her face. She heard malicious jokes about cutlery, missing items, and sarcastic comments, asking if she had already washed her hands. After so much stealing, Marina, however, chose to ignore those comments, concentrating on her work in the hope that her ethics and her performance spoke for themselves. Marina knew she could have taken these issues to Sofia, the restaurant manager, a woman known for her fair and decisive leadership. Sofia Ruiz moved around the restaurant, solving problems with a smile and an efficiency that rarely left room for questioning. Her sense of justice was known among the employees, and she did not tolerate disrespect or inequality in her team. However, Marina was hesitant to seek help. She did not want to be seen as someone who needed protection or who she couldn't handle her own problems. She wanted Sofia to see her as a competent worker, not as a charity case or a problem to be handled. Marina believed that in time she could prove to everyone that their assumptions about her were wrong and that she was more than their own. Spent like this day after day, Marina swallowed her pride and her discomfort, dedicating herself completely to her tasks, taking care of the cleanliness of the dishes with an almost surgical precision, polishing the cutlery until they shined, and maintaining her workspace impeccable, all while maintaining a calm composure under the critical gaze of some of her most malicious colleagues. Marina saw Sofia in the hallway and decided to call her to talk in the office. Marina sat behind the table, crossing her fingers and looking directly at Sofia with a smile, encouraging. Sofia, I really don't know how to begin to be grateful for this opportunity. You have no idea how much it means to me. She spoke with her hands together, her eyes shining with emotion. Sophia responded, "Marina, I offer you this opportunity. No, not only because I see your potential, but because I truly believe in recovery and personal progress. We all face challenges, and what matters is how we respond to them." Marina absorbed the words, feeling each one ease the weight she carried on her shoulders. She took a deep breath, searching the words the strength to continue. Marina continued, "For a long time, I thought no one could look beyond my past, and here you are not only looking beyond but offering me a hand to get up." She looked down briefly, gathering your thoughts before continuing. "I promise I will do my best to absorb as much as I can and contribute as much as possible." Sophia nodded. "And that is what we hope, Marina, and remember, you are not alone. Me and the entire management team are here to support you. You will be respected like any other member of the team." Marina felt a wave of gratitude and renewed determination, extended her hand, which Sophia held firmly, sealing the commitment not only with words, but with a tacit promise of support and trust. Mutual. Marina spoke, "Thank you, Sophia, for this opportunity and for believing in me." Her tone was solemn, reflecting the depth of her gratitude for your help. "I hope one day to be able to offer someone the same kind of opportunity that you gave me." Sophia concluded, "I am eager to see what you're going to make it." "Marina, we're going to make this a new beginning." She smiled, an expression of genuine expectation and joy. The two women then got up, ready to return to the fast pace of the restaurant. Marina left the office feeling lighter and inspired to change her own life. Marina sat alone in the restaurant's locker room after the end of the file. She removed the damp apron and put it in the closet while her fingers touched the cold fabric. Her mind was swept away by memories that she tried in vain to forget. It was impossible not to go back to that day when everything changed. A day that had started like any other at work at the hotel. That morning the sky was clear, but when she was called to the manager's office, a gloomy weight seemed to cover everything. The manager was there with a serious expression that Marina would never forget. He was waiting for her with a folder on the table, avoiding her gaze. "Marina, we found discrepancies in the financial records of the last quarter." He pushed the folder in her direction with a seriousness that made Marina's heart sink. She looked through the documents with trembling hands. Each page seemed to condemn her more and more. The accusations of embezzlement were serious, and the evidence pointed directly at her. Everything was set up with cruel precision. "That can't be true," Marina spoke, her voice trembling but firm. "I would never do something like that. Someone is trying to incriminate the manager." He sighed, shaking his head. "The evidence is convincing. Marina, we need to call the authorities." The way she looked away was the most painful blow to be escorted out of the hotel, passing by colleagues, each look a stab, each whisper an accusation. Marina remembered each moment. She was taken to the police station, a place of cold faces and sharp questions, sentenced to years, ended serving only 3 for good behavior, and the lack of solid evidence in the locker room. Marina allowed herself to feel all the injustice of those days, the repressed tears, the sleepless nights in the cold cell, the despair that consumed her days. Everything came to the surface. "I know that it wasn't me," Marina whispered to herself, a promise that one day the truth would come to light. She got up from the bench, wiped away her tears, and took a deep breath. She adjusted her posture, and with new strength decided that this past would not define her. Marina left the locker room with the tall head, no longer a prisoner of her memories, but a woman determined to rebuild her life step by step. Meanwhile, a former work colleague of Marina named Emilio Vargas was in her spacious house, a modern example of minimalist architecture with views of the city of Guadalajara. Sitting on an Italian leather sofa with a glass of red wine in his hand, he calmly gazed at the moonlit cityscape. Emilio's success was visible in every detail of the contemporary art atmosphere, in the walls of cutting-edge technology in every corner, and a silence that only money can buy. However, behind that facade of success and respectability, there were dark secrets that he carefully guarded. Emilio knew very well that his rise to the top had not been a clean road. Nor, honestly, for him, the ends always justified the means, and that included sabotaging anyone he saw as a threat to his progress. Marina had been one of those intelligent, capable people and seen by many as a future leader at the hotel where they both worked. He saw her work ethic and quick problem-solving not as qualities to admire but as threats to neutralize. At that time, He manipulated financial records to create a convincing narrative accusing Marina of diverting funds with her knowledge of finance and access to the hotel's systems. It was easy for him to divert a significant amount and leave a trail of false evidence pointing towards Marina. She was the perfect candidate for the scapegoat, reliable enough that everyone believed that he had access to commit the crime, but without powerful connections to defend himself effectively. Feeling satisfied with the memory of his own ingenuity, Emilio reflected on how everything turned out according to the plan. Marina was imprisoned, and he was promoted to occupy the position that she would surely have assumed soon. For him, it was a double triumph. He eliminated a rival and advanced his own career in a single master move. But on nights like this, when the city seemed to absorb all the sounds and loneliness of success, a shadow of doubt sometimes crossed his mind. Maybe someone would find out. Maybe Marina would find a way to clear her name. Emilio quickly dismissed those thoughts, reminding himself that he had covered his tracks perfectly. Nobody would ever connect the dots back to him. And even if they tried, he was now in a position of enough power to deflect any suspicion. Emilio finished his glass of wine, placed it on the glass table, and stood up, walking to the wide window to look at the city once again. The night was quiet, and he felt safe in his kingdom of silence and sombras. Tomorrow, he would plow his day of success, armored by the reputation he built on the rubble of the careers he had destroyed. Marina was organizing the dishes area when she heard a murmur coming from the nearest table. Even though her position was in the kitchen, the proximity to the restaurant's service area sometimes brought echoes of the customers' conversations. She normally ignored them, concentrating on her work, but that one night was different. Some people, with surprise and a critical tone, said they had heard that Marina had recently been released from prison, expressing disbelief at seeing her working in such a prestigious place. Others questioned the management's decision to allow someone who had been imprisoned for robbery or something like that worked there, suggested with a tone of concern that perhaps they should talk to the manager about their concerns regarding Marina. There were those who insensitively speculated about the possibility that Marina succumbed to the temptation of stealing something from the restaurant. She wondered if Marina's bags were searched when she came out, talking about her as if she were just a topic of gossip without considering her privacy or dignity. These comments spread throughout the dining area, making Marina in an uncomfortable and humiliating position as she struggled to maintain her composure and continue her work under the weight of fair judgments and inquisitive glances. Marina, upon hearing her name mentioned in that context, she felt his heart tightening. He tried to focus on the tasks at hand, but the words invaded his concentration like painful thorns. He felt a knot forming in his stomach as each word resonated, reminding him of the indelible mark his past had left on his life, a mark that seemed impossible to undo. Stirring while holding a plate with a little more force than necessary, trying to anchor herself in the reality of the physical object, an attempt not to get lost in her emotions, Marina put the plate aside and breathed deeply, calming the whirlwind of feelings that threatened to engulf her. She knew that confronting clients was not an option. Doing so would only harm her position and perhaps even her job, but the injustice of the situation burned within her, a bitter mixture of helpless anger. She closed her eyes for a moment, seeking refuge within herself. I never imagined that my life would take this course, she thought, feeling the weight of her past experiences like a constant shadow. Years ago, she saw herself in a promising future, advancing in her career far from any shadow of doubt or distrust. He reflected on where he had been and where he was now, a journey marked by misfortune that PR could not have seen. Why? I internally questioned the voice of his conscience, echoing in the silence of his mind. Why, after everything I made, all the correct and honest decisions, destiny brought me to this moment. Marina knew deep down that the injustice she had suffered was not her fault. She had always strived to do things the right way. Correct, for being an honest and trustworthy person. He did not deserve this. Not after everything I did to build a decent life. He continued in his internal dialogue. The client's words still echoed in his head, but he always tried to replace them with a narrative of resistance and strength. I was honest. I was always on the side of the truth. I reaffirmed myself, feeling a mixture of sadness and determination. And although the world sometimes seems unfair, I know who I am. I know the value of my work and my morals. At that moment, he remembered the words from Sofia, the manager who had become her defender. You are not alone. Marina had told her that she knew that she could talk to Sofia about this. that Sophia would listen to her and take some action. That perspective of support was a small consolation, but enough to give her the strength to finish. The day with her shoulders a little more straight, Marina returned to her work, each movement an act of resistance against the voices that tried to diminish her. She would not allow ignorance and prejudice to define who she was or what she could become. Was more than her past, more than the words that spoke about her, and despite everything she would continue to prove it. Every day Marina was finishing the cleaning in the kitchen when Sophia found her. The manager seemed to have something important in mind, her quick steps and decisive sounds echoing on the ceramic floor. Marina dried her hands on her apron before returning to face Sophia, who was already beginning to speak. Before even stopping completely, "You know, Marina, there is going to be a very important business meeting here in the restaurant next week." Sophia began, her serious tone and her eyes fixed on Marina's to emphasize the importance of what was to come. "We are going to receive some of our most influential investors and other high-profile guests. It is an opportunity to us showing the best of our work." Marina nodded her head, absorbing the information. The idea of such a significant meeting happening so close to her was both exciting and intimidating. She wondered what her role would be during the event, given their current position in the restaurant. "I want you to be particularly attentive during that day," Sophia continued, crossing her arms, an expression of soft expectation molding her features. "Not only in your usual tasks, but in being ready for anything extra that may arise. I want everyone in the restaurant, they are in their best shape, but I have a good feeling about you." Marina felt a mixture of pride and nervousness hearing that clearly. "Sophia, I will do the best I can. You can count on me for whatever you need," she answered, the responsibility of the task making her heart beat a little faster. Sophia smiled, apparently satisfied with the answer. She knew she could count on you. This event can be a great opportunity for all of us to impress and, who knows, open some doors for you. Be an opportunity to learn a little more about the side of the business that you don't usually see here in the kitchen. Marina agreed to the idea of learning more about the business, sparking her interest and curiosity. She had always wanted to return to a role that would not limit her activities as much as washing dishes did. "I am going to be attentive and do everything I can to help," said Marina, determination strengthening her voice. "Thank you for letting me know and for trusting me to help during the meeting." Sophia gave an affirmative nod, clearly happy with Marina's proactivity. "Excellent, Marina. I will give you more details as the date approaches. For now, I just wanted you to know so you could prepare yourself." With one last encouraging smile, Sophia turned and left the kitchen, leaving Marina to her thoughts. The dishwasher allowed herself to feel a glimmer of hope. On the morning of the business meeting, the luxury restaurant in Guadalajara was a whirlwind of activities. Everyone from the chefs to the waiters were in a state of frenetic preparation. The aroma of spices and dishes being prepared filled the air, mixing with the sound of openings being polished and crystal goblets shining in the soft light that filtered through the tall windows. Marina, although technically still a dishwasher, felt part of something much bigger that day. Her task was not only to ensure that each dish and utensil was spotless, but also to be attentive to any additional needs that might arise during the event. She had arrived earlier, determined to do her best while organizing her workspace. Marina couldn't help but feel a mixture of anxiety and hope. Today could be an important day. She thought about a day that might change the course of things for me. Here, she knew that the meeting would bring influential people, and that any positive impression she could leave would be beneficial. Every plate she washed, every cutlery she polished, she did it with extra attention, conscious that the details could make all the difference. While she worked, Marina observed the other employees. She saw the seriousness in their faces, concentrating on his tasks. He knew that everyone felt the importance of the day, each one in his own way. In a moment of pause, he allowed himself to absorb the atmosphere, the constant hum of the kitchen, the commands rapids of the chefs, the anticipation palpable in the air. Marina also reflected on what Sophia had told her. For anything resonated in her mind. She wondered what exactly that would mean in practice. She would have the opportunity to do more than just wash dishes today. There would be an opportunity to show her management skills, perhaps in some small but significant moment. She hoped so, and felt prepared to take advantage of any opportunity that might arise as the meeting time approached. As the tension approached, Marina repeatedly checked her equipment and work, ensuring that everything was in perfect order. She knew that the success of the event also depended on perfection in the wings where she and her colleagues worked. Everything needs to go well, she thought. adjusting a container of cutlery that looked like finally misaligned when the first guests began to arrive. Marina took a moment to breathe deeply. She positioned herself discreetly near the kitchen entrance where she could see the guests. Unseen, she watched the initial interactions with anticipation, wondering who the key figures would be and what this meeting of opportunities could bring for the restaurant and for her. As the guests for the business meeting began to fill the restaurant room, a particular agitation accompanied the arrival of a man that Marina could not immediately identify was clearly of great importance given the way other guests rushed to greet him. Marina watched discreetly from his position near the kitchen, his curiosity heightened by the man's posture and bearing. The tall man, dressed in a perfectly fitted suit, maintained an imposing posture. He had well-cut hair and an attitude that radiated authority and confidence, naturally attracting people around him. Even without seeing his face, Marina could feel the respect that he commanded in the environment. Everyone who approached him extended their hands with a smile, and he responded with a. Marina tried to capture fragments of the conversations, trying to discover who this man was. She heard words like investment, expansion, and strategic partnership, all pronounced with an enthusiasm. It was evident that he was a centerpiece in business plans being discussed. Questions were asked about the details of those agreements and the impact they could have on the restaurant and indirectly on its business. In her own life, she found herself fantasizing about talking to him, about having the opportunity to hear directly about the world of high-level business. Maybe he could offer ideas or advice to help her on her own journey. Beyond the dishwashing sinks, Marina quickly repressed that thought, reminding him, reflecting the level of professionalism that the restaurant sought to convey. Sophia took the lead, her confident demeanor complemented by an elegance that always brought an aura of competence and, with respect, she smiled, welcoming everyone into the room with a warmth that was both professional and genuine. "Good day, everyone, and thank you for choosing our restaurant for this important meeting." She began, her voice clear and firm, filling the room. "It is an honor to receive each of you here, and we hope that our hospitality makes you feel comfortable and valued during our discussions today." After your initial words, Sophia looked towards a man at the end of the table, indicating that it was his turn to speak. He was the man Marina had noticed. Previously the center of all attention since his arrival, now identified as Emilio Vargas, stood with a presence that naturally commanded respect. "Thank you, Sophia," he said with a voice that carried a calm but unquestionable authority. "I am very pleased that we are gathered here to discuss opportunities that I believe they will be beneficial for all of us." Emilio adjusted the papers in front of him before continuing, his eyes briefly sweeping the room before focusing on the audience in front of him. "As many of you know, our group has been exploring various avenues for expansion and innovation. Today we are here to consolidate those ideas and transform possibilities into concrete plans. I hope that today's discussions are productive and that we leave here with a clear sense of direction and with commitments." That Marina was holding a pile of freshly washed utensils, her focus completely focused on the task of carrying them to the pantry. The restaurant was exceptionally busy due to the meeting, and he struggled to keep up the fast pace, ensuring that everything was going well in the wings. With his head full of the sounds of the kitchen and the meeting next door, he quickly headed to the pantry to put away the items and gather more supplies that were needed immediately after organizing. Meticulously placing the utensils on the shelves, Marina turned to return to the kitchen, however, distracted by her thoughts about what she had heard at the meeting and a little disoriented by the similar design of the doors along the hallway. Made a simple but significant mistake, inadvertently opened the wrong door, and entered the meeting room again instead of returning to the kitchen. Immediately the sound of conversations in the room filled his ears more intensely, and of course, he froze before. For a second, realizing his mistake, the room was full with all the seats occupied, and some people standing at the back with the pile of utensils still in their hands. He found himself in the middle of a serious discussion about business strategies. Completely out of place, he tried to back away discreetly, but the movement attracted the attention of some of those present. Before he could completely turn around, Emilio Vargas' voice filled the atmosphere, stopping Marina instantly. The voice was unmistakably familiar, although she couldn't see her face due to the arrangement of the people and her position in the room. Marina felt paralyzed for a moment, her mind spinning with the coincidence of being there listening to that voice that so much impact had on his past. The situation was absurdly inadequate. A dishwasher present at an important business meeting, however. As he stood there, something in the way Emilio spoke began to weave the pieces together in his mind. The familiarity didn't just come from hearing his voice. Now there was an old memory, a connection between them. Her hands gripped the utensils tighter, the anxiety inside her. Marina, still stunned by the revelation, remained momentarily motionless in the meeting room, hidden behind a decorative column that provided her with a clear view of the man she now recognized as a central figure in her unjust condemnation. While the other meeting participants focused on Emilio, she remained discreet, almost invisible, absorbing every word he said, every gesture she made. Emilio had no idea she was there, much less the emotional turmoil she faced. While he discussed strategies and expansion plans, Emilio's voice seemed to resonate with a particular intensity. For Marina listened, but now with a deeper and more painful understanding. The skills he used to influence and persuade in business were the same ones that had manipulated the evidence against her. She watched as Emilio commanded the room with confidence, as if molding reality to around him with simple words. How can he just move on? She thought, indignation growing inside her with each sentence he uttered. We must focus on optimizing processes and eliminating redundancies where they appear, declared Emilio, gesturing with studied elegance. Marina felt every word as if it were a direct accusation against her, a cruel reminder of her situation. She knew that the redundancies he mentioned were just a metaphor for business, but for her they meant something much more personal and sinister. Marina remained still, her presence unknown to Emilio and the others. She used that moment not only to confront her past, but to gather information to better understand the man who had been able to destroy his life without an iota of remorse. Every detail, every nuance of his speech was now a clue, a possible link in a chain of corruption and lies. We are going to ensure that our decisions today are well-founded and that they lead to our company to a new level of success. Emilio spoke with an assertive and persuasive tone. Marina felt a mixture of repulsion and fascination. He was a master of his art without a doubt, but his art had a dark side, one that she knew very well. Emilio Vargas was at the height of his presentation, commanding the room with the skill of a maestro before his orchestra. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, he said, raising his voice to capture everyone's attention in this competitive market, our advantage must be innovation and efficiency, but above all, we must conduct our businesses with integrity and honesty. The word honesty echoed through the room, full of irony for Marina, who was listening from her discreet position. Marina, whose hands were closed at her side, felt a wave of indignation so strong that her own barriers broke. Without thinking about the consequences, the words simply poured out of her, loaded with all the bitterness and irony of the moment. Who are you to talk about honesty? Emilio Vargas, his voice clear and unmistakably accusatory, he cut off the respectful murmur of the room, becoming the focus of all eyes. The room fell into an abrupt silence. All eyes turned to Marina and then to Emilio, whose face quickly changed from one expression to another. From authority to one of shock, he looked at her, and for a quick moment Marina saw the recognition in his eyes. It was evident that he knew exactly who she was, but as quickly as it came, his expression closed, replaced by a mask of professional calm. Emilio paused, evaluating the situation with the calculation of an experienced politician. Ladies and gentlemen, he began, his voice now infused with a forced calm. It seems that we have a misunderstanding here. I do not know this lady, but clearly she has something that say perhaps there is something we can help with. His attempt to deflect the confrontation towards an offer of assistance was clever in trying to minimize the incident in the eyes of those present. Marina, however, was not willing to let the situation be diffused with diplomatic words. No, there is a misunderstanding, she replied, her voice firm despite the internal tremor. You know exactly who I am, Emilio. I am the person whose life you ruined with your lies. How can you speak of honesty when you manipulated the truth to advance in his career? The direct accusation left Emilio momentarily speechless. He looked at Marina, then at the audience, realizing that the facades were beginning to crumble. For a second, it seemed like he would respond, he would face the accusation head-on, but then he opted for a strategic retreat. I believe this is not the appropriate forum to discuss such accusations, he said. Let's finally schedule a meeting to discuss this matter separately. Now, if I may, we would like to continue with the day's agenda. Marina stood breathing heavily as Emilio turned away from the confrontation. She knew she had started something that could not easily be contained, something that could finally lead to the truth. Taking a deep breath, she began to speak again, this time addressing not only Emilio but everyone present in the room. My name is Marina Hernandez, and I am the dishwasher at this restaurant. Before that, I was a promising management assistant at a prestigious hotel until being falsely accused of diversion of funds and ending up in prison for years. His voice, although firm, carried a weight of emotion that could not be easily concealed. And the reason my life took this devastating detour is here in this room. The reason is this man. Emilio Vargas paused, allowing the words to echo through the room before continuing. Emilio was part of the management team at the hotel where he manipulated financial records to incriminate himself in a fund diversion scheme that he himself had devised and was a threat to his promotion in the company. Race and chose to eliminate me from the path using the most dishonest tactics imaginable. Emilio, clearly uncomfortable with the turn of events, tried to interrupt. This is complete nonsense, said his voice, trying to maintain the controlled calm of before, but with a trace of urgency. He hints these serious accusations, and completely unfounded. I would never participate in such acts. Marina looked directly at him, defiant. How can Emilio deny it? You sabotaged my life and my career. You planted evidence and made sure that I took the blame for your crimes. I lost years of my life, years that I will never be able to get back because of her actions. The room was now in a constant murmur, with the participants exchanging uncertain glances, some clearly uncomfortable with the scene that was unfolding. Marina continued, her voice growing in passion as she told her story. I am here today not only to clean the dishes, but to clear my name and to alert all of you about the kind of man Emilio Vargas really is. Emilio Vargas, whose facade of control had been shaken by the words of. She suddenly changed her tone. The previous calm gave way to cold aggression. I want this woman to be removed from here immediately, Emilio demanded, his voice raised enough for everyone in the room to hear clearly. She is clearly disturbed and represents a threat to security of this meeting. We will not tolerate behavior like this in our company. In addition, you must be fired from the restaurant. We cannot accommodate employees who make unfounded accusations and disrupt important business meetings like this. Security guards approached Marina, ready to carry out Emilio's instructions. But before they could touch her, Sophia intervened. The restaurant manager stepped forward, placing herself between Marina and the guards with a firm and decisive posture. Wait a moment, Sophia said, raising a hand to stop them. To the guards and then addressing Emilio and the others present. I know Marina well enough to say that she would not make up a story like this. She has been an exemplary employee since she started to work with us, and their accusations deserve to be heard, not silenced. Sophia then she turned to look directly into Emilio's eyes. The intensity in her gaze was palpable. Emilio, if you are so sure of your innocence, why don't we thoroughly investigate the situation? If Marina is wrong, that will be proven. But if she is right, then it is our duty to correct the injustice. Sophia's challenge seemed to take Emilio by surprise. He hesitated, looking at the faces around the room, many of the who now exhibited expressions of doubt and concern. The aggressiveness of their reaction had increased the credibility of Marina's accusations in the eyes of those present. This is absurd, Emilio finally murmured, but his tone was now less certain, the anger mixed with an anxiety that did not manage to hide completely. But it's okay. We will investigate the matter to clarify any doubts. However, before more could be said, the atmosphere in the room changed, influenced by Sophia's brave defense and by the attitude suspicious of Emilio. Several of those present began to get up and leave the room, murmuring among themselves, clearly uncomfortable with the situation and perhaps questioning the integrity of the meeting. The planned meeting to solidify plans and associations was falling apart. Sophia, noticing the change in mood, made a sign, discreetly told the guards to stop. It seems we will need to reschedule this meeting, he announced to the now partially empty room. I thank everyone for their presence, and I apologize for the delay. Inconveniently, Marina was still shocked, but now with a glimpse of esperanza, she was gently escorted out of the room by Sophia. The truth was beginning to make its way through the shadows of doubt, and with the support of Sophia, Marina felt that she finally had a chance for justice and redemption. After the tumultuous meeting, while Marina and Sophia walked away from the room, a man who had remained relatively discreet during the confrontation approached them. Excuse the interruption, he began, extending a hand in greeting. My name is Arturo Reyes. I am a police investigator. I have been here today undercover, following the developments of this meeting as part of an ongoing investigation. Marina looked at Sofia, seeking some type of confirmation or support, and then turned her gaze to Arturo, still processing the revelation investigation, asked, his voice tinged with surprise and caution. Arturo nodded, his gaze becoming more serious. Yes, we have been investigating Emilio Vargas for some time. He is suspected of being involved in a series of financial frauds, including cases that go far beyond what happened to you. Your story today caught our attention as it aligns with other information we have collected about their methods. Marina felt relief. The injustice she had suffered was beginning to be recognized. How can I help? Determination asked, taking shape in his voice, ready to act and contribute to Emilio being held responsible. We are collecting all the possible evidence to build a solid case against him, Arturo explained. Any information you can provide about your interactions with him, especially any details about how he manipulated financial records or any other irregularities you witnessed, will be extremely helpful. Marina nodded firmly. All I want is justice, not only for myself, but for everyone he has harmed. I will help as necessary. When we begin, Arturo gave a half smile, a sign of appreciation for her bravery and disposition. We will begin by gathering your detailed statements and any document or proof that you may have saved. Your help can be the key to revealing not only your case but many others. With a nod, Marina confirmed her commitment. She felt a wave of hope, not only for the possibility of clearing her name, but for being able to contribute to an effort. Mayor of Justice. After intense weeks of investigations and evidence collection with the help of Detective Arturo Reyes, the role of Emilio Vargas in the unjust conviction of Marina was finally proven. The mountain of the evidence that Marina and Arturo gathered not only clarified Emilio's manipulation of financial records, but also revealed a pattern of fraudulent behavior on several other occasions. With the evidence in hand, the police acted quickly and Emilio was arrested, facing multiple charges that would ensure her responsibility for the damage caused. Marina, who during all this time remained strong and focused, felt a mixture of relief and exhaustion when she received the news of the arrest of Emilio. Was in the restaurant finishing his shift when Sofia approached with a warm smile and a look of deep respect. You were incredible, Marina. I never doubted you, and I am so relieved that the truth has finally come to light, Sofia said, placing a comforting hand on Marina's shoulder. Marina's colleagues, many of whom had initially been reluctant to believe her story, were now coming forward one by one to express their support and apologize for any doubts they may have had. Marina felt her eyes fill with tears, not of sadness but of relief and gratitude. Thank you all, she said, her voice trembling but full of strength. It has been a difficult period, but knowing that I have your support means a lot to me. I am grateful for each of you who she believed in me and helped me face this struggle. Sofia, seeing Marina's emotion, gently suggested, why don't we take the rest of the day off? You deserve to rest and celebrate this victory. Marina, and when you return, we will discuss your new role here at the restaurant. You have demonstrated a strength and integrity that is exactly what we need in our leadership team. Marina smiled. The feeling of justice being done filled her with a new energy. I would love that, Sofia, and I am ready to help build an even better environment here, a place where honesty and justice are not just words but reality for all of us. As colleagues continued to approach, offering words of encouragement and congratulations, she finally felt free of the weight that had held her down for so long. So long after the turbulence of recent events that culminated in Emilio's arrest and the rehabilitation of her own reputation, Marina found herself in a new chapter of her life and was summoned to a meeting with Sofia, who had taken an even more decisive stance in the restaurant management. The room where they met was quiet, a contrast to the frenetic pace of the kitchen, and reflected the seriousness of what was about to be discussed. Sofia began the conversation with a tone of respect and seriousness, looking directly at Marina. Marina, your bravery and integrity in the face of the challenges you have faced are truly inspiring. Not only did you stand up for your truth, but you also demonstrated leadership and strength of character that are exactly what this restaurant needs to move forward. Marina, surprised, could barely formulate words, feeling a rush of emotion as she realized where the conversation was heading. So Sofia continued, I would like to promote the restaurant supervisor. This is a position that it will bring new challenges, of course, but it is also an opportunity for you to shape not only your career, but also the culture of our work environment. Marina felt tears welling up, touched by the trust that Sophia placed in her. I don't know what to say, Sophia. I am very grateful and I accept with take this responsibility seriously. It is an incredible honor. Sophia smiled, clearly pleased with the answer. I knew you would accept, Anne. Don't worry, we will provide all the training and support necessary to ensure that you feel prepared for your new responsibilities. Your unique perspective is something we value immensely here. Marina nodded with a mixture of pride and expectation. Thank you, Sophia. I will do the best I can. I want to contribute to making our restaurant an example of excellence and a place where everyone feels valued and respected. I am confident that you will do exactly that, said Sophia, offering a handshake that sealed the new chapter in Marina's career. As she left the meeting room, Marina felt a new strength animating her. She was ready to face the challenges of her new position, excited by the abilities of growth and change. Marina stopped on the balcony of the restaurant, an airy space that offered a panoramic view of Guadalajara. It was late, and the city below was illuminated by thousands of lights, each telling their own story. As she looked out over the city, Marina reflected on the path she had taken from dishwasher to restaurant supervisor. Her life had changed drastically in a matter of weeks. The injustice he had suffered, the fight to clear his name, and the courage to confront Emilio Vargas had been arduous challenges, but he had faced them with determination and was now beginning to reap the fruits of those efforts. Life really does have strange ways of testing one, she murmured to herself, a slight smile touching her lips as she reflected on the irony of it all. Not long ago she felt lost, her career and reputation ruined by one of corruption that had nothing to do with her. She was now about to take on a role she never imagined possible, leading a team and being an integral part of the restaurant's management. She thought about the promises she had made to herself in the darkest days of her trial to never give up on fighting for the truth. Of one day, helping others who may face similar injustices can really make a difference. Now considered out loud, not only here in the restaurant, but perhaps even outside of it in the community. Marina also reflected about the people who had been by her side, especially Sophia, whose unwavering support had been crucial in her journey. She believed in me when few others did, Marina thought, grateful to have found true allies who valued justice and integrity as much as she did. As the night fell, it went deeper and the stars began to shine brighter over Guadalajara. Marina felt strengthened and inspired by the future. She knew there would be challenges, but she also knew she was armed with new strength, knowledge, and a support network that would help her face whatever came ahead. It's time for a new beginning, she whispered to the city below, and I'm ready for whatever comes. With one last look at the illuminated horizon, Marina walked away from the balcony, her steps resolute and confident as she returned inside the restaurant, ready to begin her new role with the approaching morning. If you like this story, I ask you to give a like and subscribe to the channel. This helps me to continue sharing incredible stories every day. Don't miss the next amazing story that now appears on your screen. I really appreciate your support. See you soon.